So on Father's Day a couple weeks ago, my dad came to the 10:30 Mass, so this Mass, and he and I had some time afterward for just a quality time together. I spent some time with him, which was good, catch up, make sure he's doing well. Well, because I'm a very well-planned and organized person, that meant after Mass is over, we had to go to Meijer and pick up food. So we go to Meijer, and we're walking through the Meijer down here by Rivertown, and it's just so happened that day I ran into, I think, like every parishioner. Marilyn, the business manager, was there, everyone was there. Well, we're walking through, and I'm booking it. I'm moving. And finally, my dad says, I can't keep up with you. Slow down. And I started laughing. I said, sorry, when I come into the store, I just like to get in and out. I don't want to waste time in here. Well, then we got home, we got back to the rectory, I started grilling the burgers, and I was still moving quickly, so I was going to the grill, back to the kitchen, cutting veggies, all these other things, and he's like, dude, you are in such a hurry. Slow down. And I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Oops, I'll spend time with you, I promise. Well, it's interesting because hurry is a part of our lives, isn't it? We just hurry all the time. We hurry from one thing to the next. And there's this, a couple weeks ago, I also had a chance to kind of have a weekend off, July 4th. I got away for the weekend to rest, and I finished a book that I have been reading and I love. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And it's written by a Protestant pastor whose name is John Comer, and it's a great book, wonderful book, had a lot of nice things to say. And the first thing that he really talked about is, you may think that hurry isn't a part of your life, that it's not you. And then he just said, if you've ever said, I'm too busy to pray, hurry is a part of your life. If you've ever said you're too busy to go to Mass or go to your Christian place of worship on a weekend, hurry is a part of your life. If you have ever said you can't exercise or do some important self-care thing because you're just too busy, hurry is a part of your life. And the interesting thing he points out is God doesn't want us to feel hurried. God invites us to rest, to rest. And that's exactly what's happening in our gospel today. Now, I could talk about shepherding because that's our first reading and a little bit of our gospel as well and our psalm, and that would be appropriate. But today, this weekend, I just feel like God is inviting us to think about how God is calling us to rest, to come and rest. And so this author of this book offers 3 suggestions for us on how we can come and rest and be with Jesus Christ. And the first one is solitude and prayer. Solitude and silence. Solitude and silence. And we learn this from the way Jesus himself lived. If you go to the Gospel of Matthew, in Matthew chapter 3, Jesus is baptized in the Jordan, and immediately what does Matthew say that Jesus does? Jesus goes to the desert. He goes to the desert. And that word desert comes from the word eremos, which apparently means a quiet place. A quiet place. So often I think we read that word desert and we think everything uncomfortable, right? Hot sun, sand, no food, no drink, right? Everything's gone. No. Jesus went to the desert. He went to a quiet place. He went to a place of silence and solitude to get rid of all the distractions so that he could pray. Well, then we hear in the beginning of the Gospel of Mark that Jesus has spent this day healing and being with people all day, and the very next thing we hear from Mark is this. The very next morning, Jesus got up early to pray. I can tell you this. After last night, I did not want to get up early this morning. But I got up and I thought, if I don't get up now, I am not being honest with what I'm preaching this weekend. So I got up and I'm like, oh, Lord, have mercy. Here we go. But Jesus did it. He got up early. He got up early to go in prayer in the silence and the solitude. And then we have our gospel this weekend, Mark 6, where Jesus says, come and rest. Now, it's important for us to remember that this invitation to come and rest for the disciples is just after he sent them out. right? Last week, remember, he sent out the 12, 2 by 2. He said, go out into the towns. Whoever receives you, spend time with them, heal them, and cast out demons. In the beginning of our gospel today, they've all returned, and Jesus, grateful for what they've done, invites them now and says, look, you've done all this beautiful work. Now come and be with me and rest. And wouldn't you know it, what happens next? Their moment of rest is interrupted. You know, we've all had this, right? Different moments. I'm sure parents, you know this better than I. You've had a beautiful long day, maybe not beautiful, but anxious and busy, and you want to get home and you just want to rest. And then there's your son or daughter who looks at you with that longing face, says, I need time with dad today. And you're thinking, all right, I guess I won't rest right now. Or we think about maybe our boss calls us as we go on vacation and says, hey, crisis at work, you're the only one that can answer this right now. And here you are at your time of rest, interrupted, and you take care of it. Well, it just happened to me this week. I was at a parishioner's house for dinner, beautiful time. They're actually watching on Facebook. I didn't tell them I was going to mention them, but hello. And I was at their house for a dinner, and halfway through the dinner, I got an emergency phone call to go anoint somebody who did pass away this week. But here we are. You know, I think it's important for us to notice that as we go in these different moments, Jesus doesn't say, ignore the need, because he takes care of it, right? When he sees the people, his heart is moved with pity, and they're like sheep without a shepherd, and so he takes care of them in this moment of need. But notice, after he takes care of the need that interrupts the time of rest, what does he do? Well, at the very end of Mark chapter 6, after Jesus starts to take care of the crowds and feeds them with the loaves and the fishes, he says this, then Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and precede him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. And when he had taken leave of them, he went off to the mountain to pray. He went off to the mountain to a deserted place to pray. He went off to his place of rest. My friends, Christ is inviting us to come into this place of rest with him, to go to a deserted place, the place that is free from all distractions. And for some of us, definitely me, that means not bringing our phone, right? Bringing our phone to our place of rest, to our deserted place to be with God is like bringing hurry with you, right? I go into prayer, and if I bring my phone, immediately I start thinking about everything I have to do. All the emails I'm behind on, all of the things in my schedule I need to make sure I'm thinking about. If I bring my phone, it becomes hurried prayer. Where is the deserted place that you're going into, that Christ is inviting you into to come and rest, that you can just be with God and God can be with you? That's the first one, solitude and silence. The second one is this, Sabbath, to Sabbath well. Right? Do we know what this is? I think in some ways it's kind of gotten this interesting stigma to it now where it's like, oh, it's kind of outdated. It couldn't work. You just had to sit there and do nothing. And I've even had parishioners here tell me every once in a while that they would mow the lawn and their neighbor wasn't very fond of that idea. But here we are. What do we do on the Sabbath? What is its purpose? Why are we coming to this place, this day that is called to rest? What's this day of rest for? Well, to answer that question, we do have to go back to Genesis. You know, when God creates everything, and after 6 days, he rested. God rested. Now, was the all-powerful, omnipotent God tired? Was he exhausted? Was he like so worn out that he needed to take a 5-hour afternoon nap like Father does on Sunday? No, right? Probably not. Probably something else. And it comes from the other meaning of that word, to rest. That word in Genesis also could mean to delight. To delight. We get to the Lord's day and we delight in all of God's goodness. We delight in all that God is doing. And the thing about delighting in what God is doing is it means we have to stop from everything else. We have to pull ourselves back a little bit and see the amazing, beautiful works that God is doing. So I think if we're going to Sabbath well, we have to ask ourselves 2 questions. Is this rest, and is it worship? Is what I'm going to do today rest, And is it worship? For some people, rest and worship could be gardening outside, be enjoying the beautiful creation that God has given us, and spending that time lifting our mind and our hearts to the Lord. For others, rest and worship could be a long dinner in the afternoon with family and friends, drinking wine, lots of red wine, good stuff. And then just enjoying one another's company. That can be true rest and worship. But to slow down and enjoy and delight in God's goodness. The final point given to us is slowing. Slowing. If we don't want to hurry, we just have to slow down. It's kind of funny, the last Mass, the police chief was here. And I talked about, one of the things the author mentioned in the book was, here's a novel idea. If you want to slow down, go the speed limit. And I'm like, well, I don't like going the speed limit. But I will tell you, if I'm going to rush in the store, you better believe I rush on the road. So I'm trying to learn good habits. But since I've read this book, I've started to set the cruise at the speed limit. And at first, it was annoying. Watching people drive past me and thinking, oh, I want to beat you. It was the competitive thing coming out. But then I noticed something happen. I'm moving on to a next book. I'm now listening to Dare to Lead by Brene Brown. And I'm noticing that as I've slowed down, I'm less worried about the destination and just enjoying what I'm doing. I'm enjoying listening to this book. If we slow down, maybe we think about less the thing we're hurrying towards and enjoy the thing that we're doing right now, the people in the midst, in our presence right now. I think of even the phone again, like that desire to pick up the phone when we're in front of our family. No, keep the phone down. You're in front of beautiful people right here. So if we want to truly come and rest and be with Jesus, we have to imitate everything that Jesus does. Silence and solitude, where we spend time and let Jesus fill our souls. Sabbath well, rest and delight in God's goodness, and slow down and be grateful for everything that's going on right now in our lives. Come and rest and let the Lord refresh our souls.